proud to tune in to Chicago's hottest radio station, WSWT Radio.
Hey, what's up? This your girl, Sadie Star, and you are listening to WSWT Radio. Hey, what's up? It's your girl, Sadie Star, and we took like a little quick commercial, so we're gonna start off not from the beginning, but what we talked about African American women, and you was making some really good points on what you were saying about the African American women as far as the slavery, the bondage that we had on us. So if you can break that down, because we were just going on and on about it. So they missed a good segment, but
Yeah, and it's important. One thing I was saying is that when it goes back from slavery, how the African American woman was forced to do many responsibilities.
right.
And because of that bondage and slavery and how the world now segregate or cultivate us to believe something about ourselves that we are not worthy or we are less than, we start to take on that mentality and that perspective.
Yeah.
And we talked about the visible change that is wrapped around the perception of how we perceive things.
Right.
And so, in order for us to overcome those challenges and those bondage and those chains, we have to be able to see the true potential that we possess,
Wow.
and able to tap into fulfilling the vision and the dreams that we have for ourselves.
Yes.
In order to accomplish your dream and your vision, you have to take the initiative to, one, know what you're able to do, and know what you are able to accomplish within your life,
Yes.
and take the initial steps to accomplishing it. Knowing it is not enough. Knowing, I can know I'm great and powerful, but if I never walk into fulfillment of that greatness and that powerful, then it's in vain. And so we have to understand that we have to believe in ourselves to really tap into the full potential of what God has given us. Because He placed greatness inside of us, and we possess greatness, and we are able to accomplish anything we desire to do, anything we want to do. But we have to take the initiative to understand that what people or what the word said about me is not me.
Right.
I am who God made me to be.
Yes.
I'm able to do what God said I'm able to do.
Yes.
I'm able to accomplish and achieve the things that I set my heart and desire to do, because God has given me inner strength to be able to accomplish those things in life.
Yes.
And so in order to change the perception or the bondage of the perception of how we view ourselves, we have to start looking and perceiving things differently.
Yes.
So we have to uncondition ourselves and condition ourselves with reality of who we really are.
That's true. I totally agree with you. It's like, because I know, I'm quite sure, especially, like you say, coming from, our backgrounds and, different walks of life. Now, and I know everything wasn't so clear path for you, you know what I'm saying? But it's like, you have this, how can I put it? You have this strong will about yourself. And, and growing up in our communities, we dealt with so much, especially with generational persons. It flows a lot in our, our world. Talking about the black world or the African American or the brown world, and by you having this strong stability about yourself, like, because I know you wasn't always like that. So how did you get this way, or was you born like this?
I have to think back. I always had a real strong mentality, and had a very strong support system with my parents. And so, but I think the greatest strength of my perception of myself came from Christ.
Wow.
My relationship with God. When I start to find my identity in Him and know that I am accepted by Him and I am valued by Him, what other individual perception of me became irrelevant.
Right.
And so I didn't have to allow people to dictate to me who I am because I already found my true identity in God.
Right.
And that allowed me to perceive things and see things in a whole different perspective about life within itself. Yes, there are going to be people who don't understand who I am or don't agree, to the capacity of what God has given me because of the discrimination and racism and things in that format. But those things become irrelevant. When you focus on the negative aspects of things that is around you, it's going to cause you to go into a negative perspective and view. And when you start to focus on the positive things and no longer give attention to the negative things that's around you, you will realize that your mind will start to be conditioned in a positive way. Even the Bible tells us, so as a man thinketh, so is he.
Yes.
But even if you go to CBT, cognitive behavior therapy, it said you change the way you think, you change the way you feel, and you change the way you behave. And so when you apply the combination of the spiritual perspective and principle as well as the evidence-based practice models, they go hand in hand. How you view yourself is the product of what you're going to produce.
Wow.
And so if you see yourself to be a minority, if you see yourself to be less than portion, if you see yourself to be less than who you are, that is the fruit you're going to produce from your life. But when you change your perspective to really realize that you're greater than what anybody ever told you you were, and that you're able to accomplish, and then there's nothing in this world can prevent you from getting to where you can go other than yourself.
Wow.
Other than yourself.
And it's funny that you use the word minority. I don't like that word because it is pulling us down to the level of just being low. And the reason why I'm bringing this up because it all falls down into what you do and how you're trying to help people, because a lot of that really, really matters and it really counts, because if your spirit is not up and if you're not happy and if you don't have a vision for yourself, you're going to collapse. So, and it's just like, I love what you're doing. I love the fact that you are helping people. But it's just that word, minority. I don't like calling myself that. I don't even like calling my black brothers and sisters that. That word is just so beneath us. And they make you feel low because, you're a minority. So you say, okay, like, dang, like, I don't have a purpose here. I don't have rights. So it kind of pushes you down a little bit to the bottom of the pit.
Yeah. So when I think about minority, as you think about the majority, you think about being less than.
Right.
And we're not less than.
No.
But when people take on the perception of the world, or how they view themselves, they will start to see themselves as that.
Yeah.
But when you change your perspective on how you see yourself, then you understand that you are the minority.
Oh my God.
You are who Christ called you to be.
Wow.
And if you are who God called you to be, there's no greater place or position you could be in. And so it's not about your gender, it's not about your race, your religion, it's not about your color, it's not about your sexual orientation, it's about who you identify yourself with.
Yes.
And if you are able to see yourself as who God calls you to be, and when you're able to tap into that and realize that everything else that's been communicated around you does no longer have surface inside of you. Yes. See, many times when we go through experiences of life, we start to suppress those emotions, those thoughts. And when we suppress things and don't work through those issues, those things start to influence and affect our interaction with others in other areas of our life.
Right.
So when we have those negative thoughts or things spoken over us, we have to address it when it comes. Because if you don't address it, it's going to affect you. It's going to influence your interaction. It's going to influence what you say, how you think, and how you perceive things.
Yes. Wow.
But when things first come to you, you have to address it. Are you going to believe what has been said, or are you going to believe what God is saying about you?
Yes.
It's taking a whole new outlook on life.
Okay, now I know you're talking about God, and I look at like a lot of videos, you know, and I talk to so many people in different walks of life.
Mm-hmm.
And what I'm starting to notice is that a lot of people gave up on God.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of like, wow, like, I know God is good to all of us. Like, how could you walk away from something that's so great? But I'm not in these shoes, so who is me to even judge that? Now, what would you tell the people that's out there that may not have enough of God and may forgotten about God? Like, what do they do when they in that position? They're like, okay, God, you're not here for me. There's nothing working out for me. Because right now the world is going through a chaos. You know, we dealt with the pandemic. We dealt with so many things on so many different levels. And it's like right now, it's like everybody's minds is going out to something else. So if a client came to you, how would you help them to be back to the stable mind that they once had?
So if we look at it from a spiritual perspective,
Right.
and an individual who's trying to find God, and they say, okay, I want to include the religion into my treatment process.
Right.
We are kind of come together and identify what was it and what it is now. Because a lot of time when we go through experience in life, we blame God for everything. My mama died. God didn't heal my mama.
Yeah.
My brother got shot. He didn't save my brother. And so we blame God for a lot of things, but we never take the initiative to understand that some things, for one, is done because of our own behaviors, our own actions. Two, some things is done according to God's will, and we just don't understand the plan of what that experience have to influence the life of someone else.
Right.
And so when you look at it in different perspective, we have to analyze. Is this something that I know that I've been told in my spirit that is not to do it, and I went out of disobedience and did it anyway? And now I'm just dealing with the consequences of that behavior? Or was this part of God's divine plan for something greater? I believe that whatever God allowed to happen is with purpose and is with a plan. So nothing that is done is in vain. And so if God allowed it to happen, even though we might not understand what it is or what God is doing in that process, one thing we can rest assured that we can believe and know He's real. You go outside right now and you feel the air breeze blowing on you. You go and you see the rains and the cloud. When you go and you see everything within existence itself.
The moon, yes.
They were just showing in the news how two bodies of oceans that is connected. One was dirty and grayish, and the other was bluish green, and they would never mix.
Oh my God!
It shows you the very power of God on a daily basis. We cannot deny His existence,
And science didn't do that. Science didn't do that, so.
And even science. Science had to come to some conclusion that it has to at least be a big bone. That God had to have His hands in it somewhere in the beginning, even if they're denying it now.
Right.
But you cannot go without the reality of the truth that God is real.
Yep.
And so, regardless of how much science we have, you got to understand wisdom comes from God. So every day they're learning and defining about the world, God has given them the ability to learn and to understand. And so when we start to look at it from that perspective, we just have to understand that there's going to be things in our life that may be challenging. There may be some things in our life may be difficult to handle. But that does not mean that God is not real. That does not mean that God is not there. Sometimes we need to ask the Lord to show us. Help us to understand His plan, His will for our life. And then in life for those who haven't been affected by that. Because if our days are numbered, each and every one of us have to go through some form of transitioning.
That's true, you're right.
There's no way around that. Some people go sooner than others. But all numbers and what that looks like is in the hands of God.
That's true. Wow.
And if you look at it from a spiritual perspective, we are made in His image. And when we're walking with Him, we can rest and ensure that when we make the transition, it's a better place. And so when we look at it from that perspective, from a spiritual perspective, we are able to really analyze this, what we see in His divine, how God is all powerful and able to accomplish and do and put everything in its rightful place. And when you look at it from a natural perspective, people say, well, I don't know God, I don't believe in God. That doesn't mean that His word is not real. And it doesn't mean they can't benefit from applying the word. One thing I have noticed that the word is real and it works regardless of you quoting the Bible on it or not.
So true.
If you operate in the principles thereof according to what the word of God says and is going to do what it said it's going to do. There's no way around that.
Nowhere around it.
And so even people who don't have that strong faith, if they have enough belief in themselves to say, I am greater than my circumstance. I'm greater than my situation. I can endure this. I can overcome this. And they start to speak life over themselves, they will be able to see things start to change within their own personal life.
Wow. So like, so what will you, I mean, like in our community, in the Black community, and I speak on this so much because I feel like we're lacking this so much. And like I said, we need the leaders to stand up. We need more women like you. We need more men to step up and just stand in the gap for, for everybody. We need that, including me. Like, I need to stand in the gap for younger women, and just let them know it's going to be all right. So what do you think we're lacking in when it comes to the Black community? Do you think because, one thing about the Black community, and we just don't really talk about, and I'm so glad that you're here because I've been wanting to talk to you for the longest about mental health. We don't talk about that in our community. We're afraid to talk about that. Why do you think that is?
One thing, the stigma that is attached to it. No one wants to feel like they're crazy or they're unstable. And when people start to think that other people see them to be differently than what they want to perceive, then they deny what they're experiencing, or they put on the mask to prevent people from actually seeing what they are experiencing.
I can receive that.
Okay. And so even statistics tells us that the National Institute of Mental Health says 1 of 5 people is diagnosed with a mental health condition.
Wow.
And it also says that 46% of the people in the United States has been diagnosed with a mental health condition by the age of 14.
Wow.
And so it tells you that it starts at a very young age. Because in the community of color or African American community, trauma starts at birth.
I agree with you on that.
And I say that because when a child is born into the world and by its color, or his color, or her color, they've already been stigmatized and discriminated against because of the color of their skin. And as they're growing up, they're born.
Wow. That's
And so as they get older and they start to go into school, and you have individuals of other races that start to teach their children to despise the African American community, those children at that age is now bullying or doing things against those children.
wow.
And so there's trauma at a very small age. Not only that, the statistics tells us that in the African American community, we have a kill or be killed mentality.
Right.
But that comes back too from being enslaved for many years. It's like we're fighting for survival. And we don't understand that we can work together.
No.
Because I feel like if I can get there, you're going to try to take it from me. Let us come together and work together that we may be able to build our community.
Right.
We have to change the perception on how we perceive things. We have to change the way we think about not just ourselves, but our ethnicity in our community as a whole. Because as long as there's a division within our community, the black on black crimes, the black on black violence, the abuse, the neglect, the poverty, as long as there is continual disconnect of stripping the basic essential needs from the African American community, is going to continue to have a significant impact on how they relate to one another. And it's not until we come together and say, hey, we no longer have to fight each other. We no longer have to kill each other. Because we can work together to really build in our community what we feel we're lacking. You said a very powerful thing. You said the leaders should rise up. And when you said that, first thing came to me is we are all leaders. Leaders raise up leaders. And so as we continue to invest back into our community and back into our people, back into our youth and our children, we're raising them up to be leaders. We're raising them up to be the voice of today. To make a significant impact, to bring forth effective change within these communities, within our culture, within our families, even within our church. Until we come together, there will always be a disconnect and a division and a war in-house.
Wow, that's powerful. Wow. It's like, I interview so many people, and I talk to so many people, and it's like, the way you break everything down, it reaches the heart. It touched my heart. I'm like, wow, it's like, you broke it down perfect. Because oh my God, I couldn't chill myself. You see my chill bumps? Because it's like, we lacking it so much. And I really want to see our community rise up again. Because I remember when I was coming up, the 80s, it was just so cold. Oh my God, I miss the 80s so much. Just growing up in the 80s, a girl coming from the west side of Chicago, in the hood, and I saw the big black-owned grocery stores coming up. The black-owned restaurants. I saw the community come together. We had block parties, and if you didn't belong on this block, you couldn't come in because we know you was gonna come and start trouble. So we had the fathers, like you said, we all are leaders. So you had the fathers. They was there to protect everybody because everybody's father was at home. They was home, and it's like now you don't see that. So now anybody is able to come on your block and do whatever they want to do. If they want to do a drive-by shooting, they can do it. Whatever they want to do, they got the right to do it because there's nobody protecting no more. And it just made me feel like, okay, but how you broke it down as far as you said, we all are leaders. And you're right, we all are leaders. But it's time for us as leaders to stand up and let our voices be heard. Because now it's not the time to sit back and relax no more. It's time for us to start back protecting our communities. Start back having block clubs and block meetings and stuff. When I was coming up, that's what we had, block meetings. And, people just didn't do what they want to do. They didn't. If you came on our block and did something, the big brothers and the big fathers, they was coming out, they was going to chase you back around the corner. Wherever you come from, you're going back over there. So I truly agree with you on that. And it's just so much mental illness going around. And like people, like you said, they're afraid to be called, I'm what word are you looking for?
Unstable.
Yes.
Or crazy.
Yeah, right. So now you breaking that down, you got all these degrees under your belt, and even dealing with the drugs. There's so much drugs in our community. Now do you know how it started to come in and sneak inside neighborhood?
Yeah.
Okay, tell us that too, girl. We want to hear it.
It's definitely a strategic move to decriminalize and also to bring the communities into a place of unstableness. Right. And so it talks about how the drugs is coming from Mexico and all these different places, but it's planted there for a reason. And we have to understand that we don't have to become a victim to what's been presented. And so choosing our battles or what we want to participate, not wanting to participate. Psychologically, if you have a community that does not have the economic resources that it needs in order to make sure every child in that community have what it needs to really grow up to be successful adults. Individuals going to turn towards selling drugs to try to make some form of revenue to bring back into the house. If you talk to the people in the street, many of them want to sell drugs because they don't have in their household. It's an opportunity for them to bring in some form of revenue.
Yes, you're right.
And so when we are lacking the resources in these communities of color, then we are purposely planting things in their community that's going to destroy them. Because not only are they going to sell drugs, they're going to war against what corner, who's selling on what corner.
Wow.
Not only that, they're going to become addicted to the drugs, which becomes a whole nother issue. And so it's a strategic move of keeping individuals in a place of bondage and to prevent them from really succeeding within life. And when you deal with the mental health component part of it, a lot of individuals use substance as a way of coping with what they're dealing with.
Yes.
So they're dealing with depression, or they're dealing with mood disorders, or anxiety, and they don't know nothing else other than using drugs. So they self-medicate, not realizing there's alternative solutions to treat yourself when you're dealing with those different systems. And a lot of it.
Okay, now say if a person, was dealing with drugs. Now, if they was to go, to a facility, is there anything that can happen?
Yes. So, me personally, I work with Habilitating System Incorporated, which is one of the organizations I work with. And I'm the department manager over the substance use department. And we work with clients who are addicted to substance. And we will refer them to inpatient hospitalization to go through any withdrawals or anything they may experience, and then they go to a 28-day program. And in the process of them obtaining treatment, then they come to us once they finish that 28-day treatment program, because now if they had any withdrawal, they are lapsing. And when they come to our residential treatment facility, we now working with these individuals to develop those coping skills, building up a positive support network, providing individuals in group counseling, and connecting them with NA and A group. And not only that, we are intentional about the services that we're providing, and we are connecting them with employment and housing, and connecting them and helping them get in their Social Security and IDs and Social Security cards and things in that format, that they may be able to successfully be reintegrated back into the community. And so as we work with individuals when it relates to the substance use component, we understand that the substance does have a control. It controls individual. It calls individual to be able, it calls them to see things in a perception, or it calls them to drive and do things they would not have done if they was not on that substance. And so we are there to work with them, to help them to overcome this struggle, this challenge that they have experienced, and let them know that you are able to accomplish things within your life. You don't have to allow the substance to rule, to govern, and to influence your decision, but you could become sober and drug-free in order to walk in the fulfillment and the purpose of what God had predestined for you. And so I think the biggest thing is similar to the mental health component. When people see people that is addicted on drugs, they don't look at it that the drug is influencing the way they're thinking and the way they're behaving. They look at them as being an addict or a junkie or different specific names that it comes with that. But we have to understand that it is a condition that they're dealing with when those drugs go in and change the process and the dopamine within the individual's brain. And now they are dependent and they can't function without it, without the proper coping skills and training yourself to be reconditioned and to not need that drug. Then it's easy for an individual try to stop and end up relapsing. And so when you look at it, you have to be able to understand it from that person's perspective. Understanding from their shoes, when they are walking life, and not being judgmental and looking at them as oh, this is the junkie, or this person just this and the other. No, understand where they're at today and what is influencing their behavior. Is it a substance use? Is it a mental health condition? Is it a form of depression? Sometimes because we don't understand how moods and mental health and substance use really affect the individual, we start to look at them differently. But with mental health itself, everyone deals with some form of mental health. If you get upset at something, that's a form of mental health. It may be a mild form, but it's some form of something that related to some form of mental health. Yeah. If you get sad, if you get upset, or you become anxious or something, that is some form of mental health. On some form. We have to really communicate that mental health and how we respond to the external stimuli and internal stimuli as well that we're experiencing, that it does have some root on us emotionally. And in order to for us to overcome that, we have to be able to identify what it is and develop the coping skills that can help us to overcome that mood. Because a lot of people don't understand that you can have a lot of different mood disorder, but there's a lot of holistic approaches in addition to MAP treatment that you can utilize in order to help you to become in a stable place. True. And so when I work with individuals with substance use or mental health, one of the things is identifying when you're having cravings or when you're having a mood. Wow. Journal it. And when you have that, then use your coping skills. If you're having a craving to want to use, you don't want to dwell on that craving, because the more you think about it, it's going to make you want to use. So you change your perspective, no longer focus on that substance or that mood, but you apply some form of intervention. Either you'll ask for your coping skills. It could be you like to exercise. You may like to read. Something to take your mind off of that craving. Right. And as you take your mind off that craving, or that diversion usually lasts somewhere from 15 minutes to an hour, and you change your focus through that time frame, then that craving starts to fade away. And the more you do that, you realize your craving starts to slowly disappear. And the same thing with moods. If you are dealing with depression and negative thoughts, when you have a negative thoughts, one of the activities I use with individuals dealing with negative thought, depression, sadness, and stuff like that is, one, journal what your negative thought is. Identify how is it making you feel and how you're responding to it. And once you realize that, apply a positive thought. And once you apply a positive thought, how did you feel after you applied it, and how did you respond to it? People may say, well, that's just a list. Right. I've worked with many clients at the Kennedy Center when I'm contracted to do some work with them. And these strategies have been very effective within the first 14, 30 days of treatment for individuals to identify their moods and intentionally, strategically applying intervention when they first have that mood, and seeing those moods decrease or reduce significantly.
Now, isn't that the alcohol and drugs, do they kind of weigh in on each other?
There could be an overlap with the alcohol and drug and then the mental health, because some people use substance to self-medicate. But then when you're using substance, they have moods like mental health. So you'll deal with some agitation, you'll deal with some sadness, you deal with a lot of different moods that relates to the mental health component. So there's an overlap one way or another. You use a substance, there's going to come some mental health symptoms, because of the drugs have side effects. And those are the side effects to the different substances that they're using. And a lot of people use substance to self-medicate when it comes down to different mood disorders or mental health complications or challenges.
Wow. We're going to take us a quick break. It's your girl, Say the Star, with special guest Mary Camper. Calling you Dr. Girl, because you just coming all up in a doctor, leader, pastor, all that good stuff. So we're going to be right back, y'all. It's your girl, Say the Star. We'll be right back in a minute. Don't go nowhere.
Get too hot.
No, that's it's like not trying to talk, it's like my saliva went.
That because
That
the
way.
thing is hot.
I'm like, what in the world? Like, they never talked before. Yeah.
You want water or you want tea?
I drink water. I was like, I do get tested for COVID, so I get tested every 2 weeks. Uh,
We had 2 cases of water. The other one must be in his truck.
Yeah, I was about to say something. It's like, yeah, my saliva went another way. I'm like, wait a minute. What in the world? Thank you. But I do get tested up like every 2 weeks for corona. So I'm doing like the movies and stuff. I go on step count.
Oh,
I
okay.
got to get tested like every 2 weeks. So, yeah. It's going good so far.
Oh, okay.
Going good so far. I love it. Like, I like the background too. I'm like, okay. So you doing shovels on here? Put it right there. Put your camera right there. Be like, I love this setup. I love it. I was trying to bring the light down just a little bit, but you do it because I didn't want to break it.
All right.
Perfect. Much better. Much better.
This thing get real hot.
Well, yeah, I'm like, but it's not like it's like a sweaty, musty type of hot.
Right.
It's kind of like a misty hot a little bit. So what you got the air on too? You got the heat on.
The air conditioning is on. That's why I say cool. But if you sitting right here, you just getting heat. Because if you wasn't right here, you'll feel the coolness.
Okay.
You can set it down there.
Hey, what's up, It's your girl, Sadie Star, and we are back with Mary Kemper. We call Dr. Drug Counselor. The list goes on, Pastor. The list goes on and on and on. So today, we're talking about some great things. She's breaking down issues in the Black community. She's breaking down the issues with, first we're dealing with mental health, drugs, alcohol, everything. It's like she had all the answers that you need. So I need you guys to go, to YouTube and click the like button, also hit that subscribe button. And I'm pretty sure you're gonna be coming out with some YouTube stuff real soon in the future. Because
yeah,
because a lot of people, they search for videos like this, and a lot of people really need a lot of help. It's like nowadays, people not looking for the girl with the big butt and she on there twerking. People looking for help. People they need help. They need help from the right people that's gonna understand them. And far as like through our whole conversation, you never judge nobody not one time. I noticed that. You never down nobody not one time. I noticed that. Some people they are blamed by, well, they fault this and that. You never blame one person for their actions not one time. You looked at the fact it goes back in history, it goes back. And I think when people listen to you, they're going to say, wow, I finally found somebody that can really understand my issues and what I'm going through. Because so many people has been put down so many times, and that's why they go to different substances. Because they're like, okay, my mama just down, or my cousin just, and it's like to finally have somebody to break it down, or why this and why that, and not to blame that person, but say, okay, I understand you, because I'm counseling people. I hear the stories. I know what's going on. So people need to hear your voice more. They really do. They need to see the other side of you. Not just that pastor, not just that mother side. Not to have the closed door, but in the opening. Because people are searching for videos like this every day. And I really believe that, so yeah, you know what? I'm not going to talk about that part. I'm going to talk about you got a lot of things that you got to be putting into different urban communities. Because I know you grew up in the south side. But it's like growing up in the city is totally different from the suburbs or the south side. And it's like, I remember when I was coming up, we had the Boys and Girls Club. We had activities. Nowadays, kids are lacking so many things. They have nothing to do. So what they run to the street, they get into stuff because they have nothing to do. So I know you got a couple of projects that you have going on. Yes. And I really believe, like, oh my God, I think you're going to be a great person when you put things into the urban communities and open up so many doors and people going to have places to go. And oh my God, tell us what's going on. It's also exciting.
Yeah, so some people may know, may not know, that I had a daughter that made a transition a few days before Christmas in 2019. And so it was nothing but God's strength that had given me the ability to overcome that situation. And you still struggle with it here and there, you know, even to today, because it's, you know, you have kids and you love them dearly, that's part of your heart. And so one thing that I am working on, one other project, is Kiara Gilson College Foundation. And with this foundation, Kiara wanted to be a fashion designer. She always wanted to be a fashion designer. And so what I want to do is, with that specific organization, is to give the youth opportunity to develop trades and skills when it comes to fashion design and maybe photography, art, different things that's creative, and using that as not only as an opportunity to develop skill set, but also to use it as a coping skills, because we will be providing substance use and mental health treatment as well. And so, in using that, because a lot of times when we look at our youth, we don't fully prepare them to go into adulthood, or we don't fully prepare them at a young age to prepare for their future. And a lot of times, because we don't have the time to really dedicate the time on that, because the mother have to work, the father have to work, because you got to pay all these bills to make sure there's food on the table, to make sure there's a roof over the kid's head. So there's some areas where there are some challenges to really invest in their youth the way they would like to. And so with that, it's really all dedicated to Kiara, her vision, and her love for the youth in general. You know, everybody does love Kiara. Yeah, the older ones and the younger ones, so she was able to connect with multiple populations of individuals. And
she
so
such a sweet soul.
She did.
So I saw her. She came over. We had a little dance contest. You know? So
yeah. And so that's one of the projects. And so that is dedicated to her. And then we got reestablished in hope. We focus more on adults. Mental substance use treatment, having them develop coping skills, life skills, reintegrated back into the community. And things in that format. So yes, I have a few projects that I am working on, and you know, everything takes time, so everything is timing. Working on establishing that, and in the process of doing some background work and stuff. We'll have some people doing some work to get those things up and running.
I think that's gonna be fun. That's gonna be fun because I remember we had the YMCA. So I don't even really, is the YMCA still exist?
They do, but they're not open because of COVID like that.
I'm talking about so they've been in existence for the last 5 years?
They've been in existence.
I have not saw YMCA in years, many years. Because that was the place you go to go swimming. And
I think now they're more connected to some of the senior homes.
Oh,
so it's like the senior home, and then you might have that YMCA either on that corner or right connected to it.
Oh, okay.
And
wow. Wow, I think that's going to be a big help, a huge help. Because it gives people a safe haven. You know, people need a safe haven to go to. And it's like they said, take a village to raise, you know, a child. So I just want to give you all the kudos, you know, for being that village, for being that the person or the woman, for having the love in your heart that you have for people. Because I remember one time you invited me out, and I'm like, oh my God, you paid all this money for everybody to go to the movies. I'm like you don't see people doing things like that. And, you know, and to this day, I always told people the things that you have done. That's why you never know, who's watching you in the background. Because I always praises you as far as, giving you your flowers while you're still here. I'm like, you know, Mary, she does this, like, who do you know do things like this? And it's not many, but it's people out there that do come out and support the community. But I like what you're doing for the youth. I like what you're doing. Like, you take time out with the youth. You have a lot of patience. I don't think I can have that much patience, but to each his own. But you have a lot of patience for teenagers. Like, I don't understand it. Even though I was a teenager before, but it's like, I just don't have patience. I'm like, Lord, give me strength, God. But you do have a lot of patience for the youth. You picked the perfect field to, you know, come in and to help people. You really did.
And then it's not like I picked it, it was definitely divine calling. So when he told me to go into it, I just operate in obedience. And I just did that. And then when I started, I was going to psychology, and I went into social work. And I've been really in the path of social work and doing both, because I was doing clinician work as well as administrative work and other things with the social work degree. But when I got my PhD, I said no, because I'm already qualified to test my LCSW. There's no purpose of going to get a doctorate in social work. I go ahead and pursue that psychology degree.
Wow. So let people know what can they reach you at? How can they get in contact with you? Because you know, there's many people that's looking for to sponsor people. So God is going to open up that door. Praying He'll open up that door of sponsorship where people can start sponsoring, you know, towards your project, you know, and let them know, like, how could they get in contact with you? Email, website, whatever you have you got there.
So I have 2 websites, and I didn't prepare this because I make sure I say
Oh, Lord.
Okay, so you can reach me at my phone number is 708-864-1684, 708-864-1684. And I do have numbers for both organizations, but I don't have those numbers on me right now. And then you can reach me at reestablishinghope@gmail.com. reestablishinghope@gmail.com, or Kiera's Gillis and Talents Foundation, KEYRAGILLTS@gmail.com. I didn't prepare for that. Well, I just said, look, this is the business card out. And so, any of those emails, or Mary Camper, MaryCamper@progressive.edu. That is also another email where you can reach me at any questions, or be a sponsor, or something in that format. So that's my friend's Prince! Oh, look at you, Prince. Yeah.
Friends.
Okay, I think he's messing with that door thing.
Right,
Stop it.
he used to be in the circle.
Yeah, because he don't do that.
Prince, what are you doing? Stop messing with that. You want to have y'all on the camera, man. What do you think?
I'm on the phone with his friend.
Are you on the phone, Prince?
Stop messing with that. You're making noise, and I can hear it. It's going to be in the airways when you do that, okay?
I'm gonna not edit. I'm gonna block out the ones.
Oh, but you can't do it live.
No, you can't do it live. I cut it off.
All right, go back in the room. I'll be done in a moment, okay?
Bobby, I want a dessert. Dessert.
Dessert?
Yes,
What is it? Dessert?
dessert.
Okay. Wait till I'm done. I think your daddy brought me some cake. This chair, okay? Give me a second. We're almost done.
I'm gonna close out. Close out.
Go back in your room. Well, you're in Kiera's room.
Huh?
Go back in there. I'll be done in a second, okay?
Stop talking to me. I see. I was like, yeah. Oh, what that going on, man?
He does the same thing.
Well, I will always protect you.
He said the same thing.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
That's something. That's
inspirational thing.
Okay, so we're gonna do closing, and then so yeah, I'm gonna send my email address.
Okay.
Send it to the guest. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put it on YouTube.
Okay.
Go from there. I send it to a lot of people. You know, go from there. Hey, what's up? It's your girl, Sadie Star. Oh my God, I had such a phenomenal time today with Miss Mary Camper. Putting the other, you know, names on the others. So it's on and on. I don't know how you can keep up with all. But we had such a phenomenal time today with pastor, oh my God, therapist, oh my God, certified this and certified that, and I mean just phenomenal. I'm really proud of you. I'm happy for you, and I want to see you keep on going. Like you can't go beyond that. You know, the PhD, that's it, right? Could you go over that? There's something else behind that?
Well, it'll be a double because I do have a
really?
doctoral in divinity.
Okay. Cool.
And so PhD is more in the field of psychology.
Okay, cool.
And social work.
Wow. So in closing, we're gonna let you get the last words, and then we're gonna close out. But I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed you as well. For just breaking everything down. Also for inviting me home, which is beautiful. So I truly appreciate that. So in closing, the ball is back in your court, girl.
Well, we definitely appreciate you taking your time out to come into our home to do the interview. And just last minute of words of encouragement is self-care. When you're dealing with mental health, a lot of times we lack self-care because we have so many responsibilities and obligations that we attend to. And so what we find ourselves is neglecting ourselves. And so in addition to maintaining your well-being, it is essential to maintain self-care. Because if you don't have self-care, you end up with burnout. Whether it's at work, in your marriage, in ministry, you have to take time out to spend with yourself and to spend with God. And so, and as you taking that time out, you realize you have that much more energy to continue to run the race that you're in.
Wow.
And so, I just want to encourage everyone that there's greatness inside of you. There's nothing that can stop you from fulfilling the obligations and the duties and the things you're desiring to do. The only one that can stop you is you. And so, don't allow yourself to be persuaded by what people are saying about you or how they see you. But learn to see yourself for the valuable individual and with the strength and ability that God has given you and what you're capable of doing within your life to see your goals accomplished. But there'll be times in your life that people will rise up against you because they don't want to see you to succeed in life. But don't allow those distractions to feel like there's no one there to prevent you from moving forward because God will always be there. If you're the only physical being that is moving you towards your goals, then you're headed in the right direction. And so a lot of times what happens is when we feel like we have no support, how can I do this? I don't have this person. That person did this and that person did that. It's not about them. It's not. It's about
that's
us.
something I had to learn because I've had a support and a cheerleaders in the back. So that's true.
Yeah, because everybody's not going to be able to see the vision.
Yep.
Everybody's not going to understand God's plan for your life. Everybody's not going to understand, what you're capable of doing. And a lot of times people see you through their own hurt and disappointment. And it really has nothing to do with you.
Wow.
It's because they deal with their own personal issues.
Wow.
When you're able to see, you're able to see everyone. But when your eyes is only fixed on your own inner hurt and pain and experiences, then it clouds your vision of being able to see the potential in others. And so we have to come to a place to understand that let me see me and let me work on me that I may overcome anything I'm facing that will be a hindrance to my progress.
Wow. Well, that's a blessing. So there you have the also, your social media page. If y'all want to get in contact with us on social media page.
Mary Camper, I'm on Facebook, I'm on LinkedIn as well, and then we got the church-based campus temple, Church of God in Christ church page as well.
Are you on Instagram? I am not on Instagram. Okay.
Not yet. Or Twitter.
So we thank you guys for tuning in today. We had such a phenomenal time. Thank you for tuning in. And also, just I thank people for coming in to supporting me. I truly appreciate the support. I truly appreciate the love. My channel is growing. My Instagram is growing. My Facebook page is growing. So I just thank everybody for all the love and all the support. And we're going to support Miss Campbell over there. Whatever she needs out there, we're going to try to be that community that helps her build. So, you know, if there's any sponsors out there that would like to sponsor her and her projects and what she has going on, you can go to her Facebook page. That's Mary Camper, right?
Yes.
Okay, Mary Camper. Also LinkedIn as well. So no Instagram, y'all. I got to put up on Instagram, so you know what's So thank you guys for tuning in. It's your girl, Faith Star. And guys, I'm the girl, Mary K. I call her Mary K. Mary Camper.
It's definitely been a delight. I
Yeah.
enjoy being here.
Thank you. So I guess I'll see you guys next time, next week. So peace out.
You're allowed to tune in to Chicago's hottest radio station, WSWT Radio.
Hey, what's up? This your girl, Sadie Star, and you are listening to WSWT Radio.